Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you where I'm able to interview industry titans today. Today, I have on my girl, Sarah Makris or whatnot from down yonder, whatnot, in Melbourne, Australia. Say hello to the people if you don't mind for me, Sarah.
Hello, everybody from Melbourne, Australia. That's right. Darren's got it right. Sunny, not freezing. All good today.
Oh, I'm excited about you. I think we got that in common. We finally back to Texas weather today, Sarah. But if you don't mind, Sarah, share with the people a little bit about what you do. I know we'll have all that information in the show notes, but I got some things I want to dive into, but I like for them to hear it from the source. So could you give them a synopsis of a little bit of what you do and who you serve?
Yeah, sure. So I'm an executive coach and I help senior executives and entrepreneurs to build their personal brands so that they can fast track their career, get noticed, and push through that next level. Started my career as actually worked in my first online startup in 1997. Feels like it's so long ago, but it was pretty exciting. 4 people in a room, really you did every single job. That was awesome. And then I decided to go back and study public relations. So I went and did that. And then I ended up in corporate, worked in corporate for many years, advising CEOs and executives. And then it was time to go out and do it myself and help people, all around the world to build their brands and get ahead.
Okay, that's why we had to have my girl Sarah on Market Leader Live. You know that we definitely share with those who listen to the show the importance of being a market leader in your industry. And that's what Sarah does for so many. But Sarah, I want to go back a little bit because I'm hearing a common denominator in the things that you're sharing, no matter what industry it was, of you being able to transition. And to be able to do that, it creates a skill set or some things that you find as pillars or strategies or whatnot, or keys that you utilize. So if you don't mind, Sarah, share with us, what are some of the takeaways as far as you transitioning from different areas to doing stuff for yourself that you think that would be beneficial or tangible that others could use that you utilize to transfer to different areas?
Yeah, sure. And I actually speak to a lot of people who are in this space. They're thinking, okay, I'm sitting in a corporate job or I'm sitting in any sort of job, and they're thinking, how do I get onto boards? How do I build a portfolio career where I just have a bit of consulting and a bit of charity work and a bit of speaking engagements? Or how do I move from one industry, say, into technology or something really exciting at the moment? And ultimately, the way I work is I really believe in identifying those skills that make you, those really authentic skills, and the things that you've learned to get yourself ahead in. Everyone has that special story and special skills. So it's about packaging them up and understanding how they benefit and how the value that you bring. And it's not often technical skills. And I think that's where often people get caught up, is it's often not the technical skills that get you to that next level or build your brand. But if you have a strong brand in the marketplace, you can really go anywhere because you write your own story. Nobody's deciding for you. So if you have decided one day to transition, I want to go and work in technology, then it's about pulling those skills and the things that you bring in terms of value, weaving them together in a story and building your brand around that. And then people naturally go, oh, yeah, of course. You've displayed all the things that you want or that you can deliver in the technology space. And that, may not be technical, but now I'm thinking about you for that role or that particular work that I've got to give.
Sarah, just a testament to what you just brought up is I know a gentleman, he is a billionaire. And you will look at this guy and he's a billionaire over a tech company. And nothing about him screams tech at all. He's not a Mark Zuckerberg. He's not a Steve Jobs with Apple. He's none of this at all. He looks like he's a deacon at your local church. He kind of gets that vibe, just like you might have went to school with his daughter or what. That's who it is. But when you hear him talk, it goes back to what you're sharing now.
Yeah.
The thing that he does well is relationships.
Yes.
He knows how to communicate. He knows vision. He understands his role. He has served served in other areas. He was, I can't think of the first 400 or 500, less than 1,000, I think, at FedEx when they first started. So he was able to build upon those relationships, take that nest egg that he had there and build it on out. So I'm bringing this up is just to show those who are listening to this, as we say down south, you know, it's proof in the pudding or whatnot, showing that you got evidence that it's real what Sarah is talking about. Here's a guy, if you saw him, you would not think he was tech at all. He's not a millennial, none of that, but he has a global company that is worth big. He's worth billions, but the company is worth even more than that for him to be worth, you know, several billion. So it goes back to what Sarah is sharing with us. And speaking of that, Sarah, how did you know, say for instance, and I'm going with you, be able to extract from your story how others can benefit from it. But how did you know the timing was meant for you to make that shift? Because I think some they tiptoeing, they straddling the fence. But how did you know? Okay, I want to go back for more of the political science, or deal with some of those areas. Going back to university, then you transition into the corporate arena, then you transition to go on your own. So, what made you know that it was that time for that?
And you know what? I wish I could say that it happened quicker than it did, because it didn't happen quickly. And that's one thing I really regret. I wish I'd just done it. And thought about it afterwards, but I did think about it a lot, particularly. So when I finished up in my corporate role, I went on to have children, and it was a time when I had to make a family decision. I want to be there for my children, and my husband has his business. So I was like, how do I create a life, but also take what I love doing and what I worked on? So that was a big thing. I was like, right, how am I going to do this? And it took me a long time to work out, what do I love? What am I good at? How does it fit with my family? How does it deliver what I need to do for my own creative outlet? So pulling all of that together. And then I was also very focused on, where do I get my energy from? My energy really was from helping people and talking to them and understanding what it was about them and what makes them unique and how I could help them to get where they wanted to go. So once I worked out where I got my energy from, it was very easy to start saying, okay, now I've got to tie my brand together. And everything that I did myself is what I teach my clients, because I need to be able, and that's why I'm always pushing myself at the moment to just do these things that scare me. Like, I've got this major goal at the moment about doing scary things. So because I'm like, I can't tell somebody to go and do that if I'm not doing it myself, or I haven't done it myself. So yeah, so I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I do. Just to go a little bit deeper on that, I just want to push back. When you went into my question, but you stated that you would have went. You wish you would have went earlier. Why? Okay, share with them what you know now that you didn't know then. Giving because 2020 is hindsight is always 2020 vision, so to speak. So can you share, now that you're on this side, why you think you should have went sooner?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that building a brand and building your expertise in the market it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. So just starting is you do, because it's about consistency, it's about quality, it's about continuing to show up and delivering value to your audience. And I think the sooner you start doing that, the better. It's that compound interest, isn't it? That compounding benefit that you get. So yeah, for me, I just wish I'd also wish I'd backed myself a bit more and said, you know what, it doesn't matter. I don't care what people think. I'm just trying to help people. So I wish I'd kind of convinced myself of that a little bit more and said, yeah, and just bitten the bullet.
You know what, Sarah? I mean, it's profound what you're sharing here right now. And that's why I went back to that, because there are some of you out there. Yes, you might be highly educated. You might have more degrees than a thermometer. That's right. You know your skill. You've helped so many people reach the apex of their career, but you know it's more in you. But you've gotten so comfortable. I have a quote, Sarah, that I love and that I live by. Is from a great man, and he shared that most people acquiesce to known hells, forfeiting unknown heavens. Let me say that one more time. Most people acquiesce to known hells, forfeiting unknown heavens. And the gist of that is the importance that even though we know it's more out there for us, even
Yes.
though it could be dysfunctional, even though we have outgrown that cocoon. A lot
Yeah.
of us will not spread our wings and fly because we're used to the cocoons of our lives, and we won't be butterflies or we won't be eagles and go ahead and soar. So when I'm hearing you share that, Sarah, I think those who are listening to this need to be able to pick up on these gems and these value bombs that you're adding to them. Notice that she debunked some of the myths that that you hear out here in this industry. She didn't have to leave her family. She didn't have to go out and burn bras to show that she was a woman. She was able to still raise her children. She was able to still keep a relationship with her husband or whatnot, a significant other. But I just want those who are listening to this, some of these myths that people are telling you that you got to do, you don't
Yeah.
have to do it. But I want to also just bring that back a little bit and understand something. When we talk about being market leaders, this is the part that Sarah shared that a lot of people don't want to deal with, and you got to take this with a grain of salt. You have to be willing to have the compound effect, like the other Darren, like Darren Hardy talks about, building
Yes.
a brand where you attract the ideal clients, not where you're chasing others, but when you create a brand by showing up in the marketplace, the consistency that you're having with adding value and knowing that it's a long play where you have the LTV, the lifetime value of those that you're serving, will allow for you to be able to be positioned. And as my man Warren Buffett talks about, you're able to have moat, that you're able to separate yourself from others in the marketplace because most of them won't outlast. So when you bring it up, Sarah, of getting started, I just want to give a little bit more clarity for those who are listening to this, because you might just start with one post now. You might have one image. It's not about just getting on Instagram or LinkedIn and buying a bunch of followers. If you're able to get organic flow with the right people who are your tribe,
Yes.
man, Seth Godin talks about it. If you get your right tribe, then if it's just 1,000 people, you don't even have to have 1,000,000 of them. That those faithful few who are telling, sharing about what you're doing will take you to another level. Do you advise that for those who are listening, who are entrepreneurs, to be able to make sure that they focus on the LTV, the lifetime value of the approach that they're doing for their business and their strategy for a brand?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned something then too. There's not a lot of people out there, believe it or not, who actually create original content on LinkedIn, for example. There's something like, so say you've got 780 million people on there. Of that, you've got about 1%, 1 to 2% of people who actually write something themselves and create their own content. So that's a huge opportunity just in itself. And I think that the other thing is too, you start going, okay, the first time you do it, no one's going to see it. And you're like, what a waste of my time. Right? But the next time you do it, someone else sees it, and then someone else sees it. And then eventually you have people calling you saying, hey, I see you on LinkedIn, or I see you on somewhere, or they tell a friend, or they introduce you. So I really believe, and also I think the other thing about that is having some kind of, the minute I decided that this was my business, I was going to show up every morning at, 8 o'clock in the morning, sit down and write a post or do something. It became a business, the minute I decided that it was my business. So I think that's another point as well.
I think when you said decision, once you decided, all the excuses, everything else had to open up and it had to part, because you knew this is the lane, this is the avenue that I'm going down. And so I'm not going to allow anything to stop me. It's not, well, if I get to, well, I'm going to try. And I hope one day that type of verbiage, that type of language will always lead you into being ordinary, and you will never reside on extraordinary drive. You will always be on ordinary lane. And so when we think of this information that Sarah is sharing with us, please make sure that you pick up on that and grow and go forward with it. And Sarah, let's just say, for instance, when you start going out and you doing this, and you're moving forward, let's talk about strategies too as well. How were you able to, I know people want to know this, how were you able to attract the ideal client? How were you able to get business? Because it's one thing if you're in an entity or you under an umbrella of a corporate structure, that brand is already built. It's already submitted. So, submitted, so to speak. So how were you able to build your business out coming from up under that umbrella?
Yeah, sure. And that, again, it takes time, and it's, a lot of that. But for me, it's about getting clear on who my customer was, obviously, you know, who am I talking to? What language do they use? And what messages and ideas have I got that I want to tell them? My earned secrets, you know, my things that I can say. And one of the things I often say is, you know, if you're not visible out there, then you're just invisible. Nobody knows you, nobody. And, you know, I found this a lot in the corporate space. You know, people were let go and they'd been let, and yet they hadn't invested in their brand. And so what was happening was all of a sudden, all the network and goodwill they'd built in their corporate that they worked for was sort of null and void. And there was no real reputation in the marketplace because they hadn't really invested in it. And they were great at what they did, amazing at what they did, but they just hadn't built their brand. You know, I call it like career insurance. They didn't have any career insurance and that brand equity that they needed in order to get to the next job. So that was definitely, that's definitely, something I see that happens.
Sarah, it's like Campbell's soup, girl. It's good. I'm telling you, the information that you're sharing here, I'm telling you, I'm listening to this because I know it firsthand. I've seen it. And, you know, even though I'm being somewhat comical right now about the area, but this is not it. If you don't have brand equity or if they don't know you, they can't flow you. If they don't know, you can be the best painter in the world, but I'll never have you come into our office or our homes or anything like that because I don't even know that you paint. So
exactly.
That's it. Yeah. So if I don't know that you do what you do, then it's no way that I can be able to benefit from your service. And so you also got to think about the ethical part for this. For those of you who have gotten caught up in that limited belief of instead of understanding branding, you think boasting. Oh, Darren, don't do it. Don't do it, Darren. Please don't do it to him with Sarah down under. Don't do it to him. Both words start with a B, but they're different. And so you have a negative connotation behind branding, thinking bragging. But if I don't know that you exist and I need to get my wife a NutriBullet so she can have her smoothies, and I don't know that you sell a NutriBullet, then I won't buy a NutriBullet. So it might be a guy that is not a man or a woman of integrity that I deal with who might just swindle me for my money and not even give me a NutriBullet. But if you was an ethical person, a person of integrity that I could trust with character and morals, I could have purchased it from you and create a relationship. But since you think that you got to be, you're calling it humble, but you're not seeing that is not humble. And so I can serve a person and get them what they want and create what one of our core values are win-wins. I help people, they are helped, and the people that they're able to serve are able to be served better because of the services that we provide. So we're making a world a better place. So can you dive, Sarah, and make people understand the difference between branding and people having limited beliefs of viewing it with a negative connotation of bragging, so they don't do it at all?
I love this topic because this is something that I speak a lot about. And you know, there are lots of examples, as I'm sure you see all the time as well, where bragging absolutely happens. There's bragging. There's, you know, hey, look at me at this picture, or hey, here's a picture of my degree, or here's, you know, whatever it is. And that is bragging. I mean, that's just pointless posting, I call it. Posting without purpose. And the best thing you can do is your purpose should be to add value to your audience, to solve problems for your audience, to show them how you could help them. It might be your insights, it might be your learnings on something, it might be some tips. That's not bragging. That's posting with purpose. But posting with no purpose is just, this is about me, you know, really, no one's really interested in that. So there's a way, you can definitely build your brand without boasting and without showing off. And that's about adding value to everybody else.
Wow. I'm telling you, I love that part. Posting without purpose. As the great Alicia Keys said, that girl, Sarah, she's on fire. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, she's on fire. You know, when I listen to you sharing that, you know, I want people to get this because there are great people. There are some extraordinary, phenomenal people out there that you don't get it. And so why I'm bringing this up is we're really dealing with the mental fortitude, psychology behind entrepreneurship, the psychology that it is to be a leader or entree leader or entry leader or whatnot, or a corporatepreneur, whatever that looks like for you, if a C-suite exec, no matter what your title is, you have to understand that you got to have the mental fortitude to think right, because you can have the degrees, you can be skilled, you can have the tenure, you can have all the things that you need. But if you're not thinking right, if you're having a negative connotation when it comes to certain things, or you're not doing or learning or growing in areas, then you become, as we in the United States, you become a Blockbusters to a Netflix. You end up following out, and you don't understand what happened to you because you fell behind the times. You end up being a MySpace, and then here comes a Facebook, who are able to make the necessary adjustments in the market. Same technology. One was even there beforehand, but they were able to scale, seeing where the market was going and be able to better serve people. So if you're looking at growing and being a market leader where you are attracting the right people. So let's just give a real-time example of this. What Sarah is teaching, we are actually implementing. And so the way that we're even connected right now by doing this show and to add value to you all here is because of the principles that Sarah teaches to those who are her clients. So by us creating the platforms with the different shows that we do, we know that we had a long-term, long play as far as what we were doing. So we knew we were going to accumulate by showing up in the marketplace on a continuous basis, being consistent. We knew that we would reach others. So now the SEO is out there. Now the algorithm is working in our favor. Now when you look up anything when it comes to a hybrid approach or when it comes to doing a book, here we are, and it comes to our shows and our programming. So now we have Sarah, who's in Melbourne, whatnot, and then here I am in Texas. Now we're able to connect, and that's why our company, we're able to serve people in South Africa, in the UK, in South America, the whole nine, because we were willing to do what others wouldn't. Yes, it's some investment of our time and resources and making sure it's presented the right way, but at the same time, we have a global reach, that our services aren't limited to the state of Texas or the city that we're in or the state or even a country now, because we made those investments and we kept showing up. So now I have a great relationship. I'm learning from my good friend Sarah, and more than just the clients alone, look at how our network has grown. Now I have a global Rolodex. For those who don't understand what that is, I got a global network of people who are amazing that I'm able to learn from. So that, for those who are listening, that's priceless, because now Sarah is going to have people who didn't know her before know her because of relationships. And I'm going to share this with those who are listening. The difference between contacts and contracts is the letter R, and that's for relationships.
Yeah.
Don't miss that. The only difference between contacts and contracts is the letter R, and that's from relationships. So Sarah, if you don't mind, can you share the importance of relationships when it comes to being a market leader and being able to be an authority figure in your niche?
Yeah, look, I think relationships are critical. I mean, obviously, there's no point in showing up. And I've seen this before, when you see people and you go to connect with them and it's missing that bit, you think, oh, but you're so good on there, but it's missing there. So I'm a big believer in relationships, and I always focus I'm very big on my relationships with my clients. I like to continue to be involved with them right up after they stop working with me. I love hearing where they're at, and that's so important to me, but also to them to know that I care. But also those relationships that people, there's always going to be people that don't want to, you think, okay, they're probably not going to work with me, but there's always value. I think it's what you leave people with. What's that value you leave them with, regardless of whether they're going to be your client or not? There should always be you should leave them with, there's a great quote, leave them with, I can't think of it now, of course I can't, but that feeling of more, I suppose. And I think that's what I always try to do with my relationships. And I think they're critical to everything: supplier relationships, people that you might not know that well, you might not even see a link, but relationships constantly building is critical to success. The more people you can have, that you can help, the more people that want to be around you. And
it's what you're sharing is just totally nothing but truth. I look at it far as even with our company, and just being able to do this. And I know it seems wild what you're sharing. I know some people saying, really, Darren, what are you and Sarah talking about if I got some naysayers out there? I know it's not a lot of them, but for those, but just think about this. We were able, this same prices, I even do that for people who we might be a part of our team. And if they don't work with us anymore, I still leave it on good terms. So, but it's a gesture or kindness or going beyond, even if it's a transition, it doesn't have to be a bad friction or whatnot, even if they move to another area or whatever it is, or it's just, mutual agreement to just make sure that we keep that, bridge there and don't burn bridges or whatnot. And so I even believe in it when we are actually talking to someone. So instead of someone just working with us, having an exploratory or a strategy call where our goal is let them know, our goal is to point you in the right direction that works best for you, your business, and your family. That's the goal of the call. So if you don't even work with us, we still gave you that free strategy call. We added value to you and we pointed you in the right direction. And guess what, Sarah? This is what happens. We don't try to control the how. We just add the value and operate with a place of overflow or whatnot, of abundance. And when we do that, we've noticed that some of those people, they end up coming back or they don't come back. But guess what? They might go to someone else and refer everyone else that they talk to us.
Yes.
So we end up getting more value, more to our bottom line than that person even had a budget for, because they've actually gone out to be a brand ambassador for us, and they never did even invest $1 with us. But they're not even a part of the sales team. They're not a part of anything in marketing, but they're sharing with everyone just because how we treated them and we were authentic to who we were, to who we are to them or whatnot. So I want to bring that up too as well. And Sarah, go ahead. I want you to add to that.
I had a recent example of that. I had a lady book in with me for a discovery call, and I said, oh, okay, how did you get on? She goes, actually, my husband follows you on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh, so I'd never actually even had contact with this lady, but because he had sort of seen me and he was, commented on posts and I'd commented back and he was keen for you, it just shows you how that relationship can flow through, which is lovely.
Sarah, I want to go here too as well. I think this is an amazing technique, just like how we were able to get together. Could you share a little bit of the importance of you making it by you being intentional for as getting on shows, connecting with people? Why are we on this show today? I think that could help people too on the type of mindset to have. You got exposure to our network now because you thought differently to reach out. You didn't limit yourself to where you were geographically to be able to get on. So can you speak to that, if you don't mind, the mindset behind it?
I mean, from my perspective, it's how can I I feel like I have a lot to share and a lot to give. So for me, it's like, where are the people that have the same sort of mindset as my clients? Where are they showing up? What are they interested in? Who are they talking to? Who are they listening to? And how can I add value to that as well? And how can I share what I know? Because ultimately, the bigger impact that you can make, the more the better it is for the world in general. Everyone wants to make a bigger impact. And so for me, I'm fascinated in people who are in my sort of space who, because when you're an entrepreneur, it is actually quite a lonely space in terms of, you do your thing and you do have your business friends, but it's nice to have other people who sort of understand what your sort of thing is. So definitely, and that's one thing. But also, I have a belief that you should do things that scare you. And so for me, I was like, right, what can I do that's really scary? Now I'm fine with it, but it was like, okay, I want to be on more podcasts. I want to talk more. I want to put my face on camera a bit more. So so that was another reason why I did it. But also, I've been doing live webinars, and I just felt like I wanted to share more, and I wanted to speak to people who were in the space that I was in, who were talking to the people I wanted to talk to.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And before we close this out, I want you to share with them, how can they learn more about you? If you have a book, share where they can get your book. If you social media, I heard you bring up LinkedIn. Please share that. any way they can set up an exploratory call or whatever that may be. We'll have all that information in the show notes. But if you
Okay.
could just verbalize it, we would love for you to share how they can connect with you.
Okay, so my website is sarahmakris.com.au. Don't forget the .au, the Australia. My LinkedIn is Sarah Makris, and my Instagram is Sarah Makris Australia. So you can't, it's Makris. And yeah, you can set up a discovery call with me. That's really easy. Just message me on LinkedIn, or even on Instagram is fine too, or on my website. So I am actually writing a book. I've just decided to write it. So, so hopefully I'll be launching it at some stage this year. And I'll be coming to you for, all the extra bits.
Awesome. Definitely. We'll definitely get you started on that, get you lined up. But I really believe, and I just want to bring this up while we're on here as far as the brand component, because when you look at this, it's about okay, it's like what Sarah shared earlier about she wished she would have started sooner. Mm. Now, I want to make sure that not just because I just so happen that one of my companies is a publishing company, but I've noticed this too as well. And someone shared it to me. So if I can pay it forward to you, that's what I'm going to do to add value, because I know that it works. One of the myths that we found is that we have been taught a program to believe that we have to arrive for us to do a book, that we have to accomplish all these great feats. And then one day, we can be like, one of the great American writers like Ernest Hemingway. We can sit in Cuba and look out of a window at the ocean and write all this magical stuff. Okay, nothing wrong with Ernest Hemingway or whatnot, but I'm just sharing for those who are in business, and I'm speaking to our tribe here. Yeah. When you heard Sarah bring up how you're out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. And so now you don't have that equity of what you had in that corporate arena when you get out into entrepreneurship or even go for a new position, because they don't know anything about you because you didn't brand yourself as the person that's an expert in that particular thing or a market leader. By having a book, no matter what people tell you, I don't care how people are telling you that people don't read or whatnot, decision makers and those who are writing the checks or those who are looking at investing, by you having that is credibility. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you need to drop the ball when it comes to showing up on time and treating people the way you want to be treated and know what you actually talking about and actually can produce and get the results. That doesn't mean that you have to throw that out. But at the same time, by you leveraging that book, it opens up doors. So let's just talk about some of the things that Sarah brought up, just for example. Now you're getting organic marketing because local TV stations want to reach out to you. You have people like us who have 5 or 6 different shows that they want to bring you on the podcast. Why? Because you got the new book. So now you don't have to get a young kid who's telling you that they're a digital marketer who slid in your DM on Instagram, who's charging you $3,500 to $7,500 to do it. You don't have to get a publicist immediately to get these type of deals done. You can actually get traction that will allow for when you get to that point that it can actually fund itself, but you get organic marketing happening. And so it's that LTV or whatnot of the blog post that you're writing about. Now it's a show. Now it's an event. These type of things happen when you do this. So everything that Sarah is sharing, the book ties right into it. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that piece. But that's why I wanted to just preface it with sharing the Ernest Hemingway piece. You don't, as Robert Kiyosaki with Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about, he's not the best writer, he's the best seller. And so the key is thinking not about, can I be on Amazon best-selling list or New York Times? If, for instance, someone like Sarah can go in and talk to a decision maker, get past a gatekeeper with a book. Now that whole HR department has funded now that whole institution. Now they want her programs all because the book. So don't think of just a $20 book or one-off book. If this allows for you to be able to get into a school or institution to get compensated, that's a difference. So some might even tell you too, Sarah. So say, for instance, some people might tell you, you know what, we can't have you come in to speak, but the line item when you're doing a contract, that book is utilized as your educational product. So now all of a sudden they have budgets for that. So now you're looking at $100,000 or $500,000 that you're doing for a project now, but that if you would have just came in and said, I'm a speaker alone, they didn't have the budget for the speaker. So
I
now
love
I got a budget because it's looked at it as an educational product, and they have to do the funding for personal and professional development anyway. So now
it. Right.
everyone in the department and all get a book. But if you go in thinking of a $20 book alone, that's what
Yeah.
we call B squared, book to business. So this
Right.
goes right along with what Sarah is sharing with you all. LTV, lifetime value, making sure that you continue to show up in the marketplace, make
Yep.
a decision, keep on serving people, care about them after the sale, be relational and not transactional, and you will always have the right clients, the ideal clients that you're attracting, where price is not an option with them. They want the
Yep.
value that you provide. And do you agree with any of those things that I just stated there, Sarah?
Totally. And I'll just add to that, because a lot of people say to me, you know, why would I go? Everyone's written everything. Everyone's already written a blog post on, you know, personal branding or on, I don't know, technology and innovation. But I always say, but you haven't. And they want to hear from you. And, you know, it comes back to that, you know, that know, like, trust, and the fact that people buy from you and not a business. And that's, again, another reason why that personal brand is so important. So they haven't heard what your take is on that, your ideas, your perspective. And that's where you build your brand from. And that book does that perfectly.
That's it. And, you know, Sarah, what just me being able to say, hey, look who I interviewed today, and I got a copy of your book with your face on it.
Yeah.
That's the game changer. See, that's what people don't get. That, you know, that's the game changer. That right there alone. Well, who we bringing in when that person, that C-suite exec, is able to say, this is the woman that I was telling you about on LinkedIn that I found, but here's a copy of her book. Let me put it on your desk.
Yes.
When you do that, that's a whole nother. So you're not looking at it the right way. So, you know, Sarah, you're totally right with that. And before we get out of here, Sarah, I want to be respectful of your time. But I want you to share with that person who's thinking like, man, I wish I would have did it. I'm kicking myself right now. I'm in a tough situation. I'm looking at getting back. I have some funds, but how do I position myself? What are some of the first things that I need to do? You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back, because all these years that I invested in this other company, I didn't do the brand. I really don't know what this Instagram. Should I be on TikTok? Should I be on this? Could you just give a few practical steps, tangible, for someone who's saying, Sarah, I need your help, but I don't even know where to start?
Yeah. And I often get, I mean, that's often when clients come to me, is in that situation. And I always start with, you know, what's your goal? Really think about, where do you want to go? Because there's no point in building your brand if you don't actually know where you want to go. So, and get as clear as you can. So, you know, I want to work in technology. I want to be the head of this, or I want to be attracting startups, and I want them to, you know, hire me to do this sort of work. So get really clear, the industry, the type of role, and then get an understanding of where you think your brand sits at the moment. So there's no point in going and Googling yourself and you're suddenly like the top florist, but you want to work in technology. So getting really clear on that, and where your brand sits today, and how people perceive you, and what your strengths are and weaknesses. And then it's about understanding, you know, who are those stakeholders that you need to get in front of, and where do they hang out? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram? Are they, you know, obviously the florists will be on Instagram, but the tech people will be on LinkedIn. So it's about sort of understanding that, knowing what their problems are and how you can solve them with your messages. So that's one area that I think is, and I'm sure you find this with the books space, is messages are critical. Like your ideas and those messages that you send out, they have to be really clear, and they have to be, all your interest and all your knowledge has to be backed around those topics that you want to be known for. So identify that. And then it's about the impact you make. So where are you going to show up, and how consistent are you going to be? And I always recommend just start with once a week. Once a week, sit down an hour, write your post, and just build from there. And then it becomes a bit easier. But if you've got your messages in place, it's 10,000 times easier.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And y'all don't worry. I will, if I can. I'm going to make sure that Sarah is on other platforms and things, because we was able to only just give you a little bit of Sarah today on this particular show. But we have some virtual events and things like that we have going on too, that we definitely got to have Sarah back if you would join us, Sarah, because the people got to learn more from you, because I'm telling you, girl, you're killing it. You're killing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it. Well, we're excited to have you on, Sarah. Thank you for your time. For those who tuned in today, remember, just click, follow, connect with her or whatnot on LinkedIn, Instagram, get on social media. Those who know, you know who I'm talking to. Those who know that you need that exploratory call, you know that message was for you. Please don't let your family go through it. Don't waste money, or I say waste money, but invest money. Don't spend it, invest it. Get a ROI by getting with the right people who actually have a heart, who want to see you win. And it's a win-win. One of our core values is win-wins. We get, we help people, they help people. It's a win-win. It's a cycle of life or whatnot, circle of life. So thank you again, Sarah, for coming on. For those who come in, excited to have you. Remember, if you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be great and be blessed.